Good morning, everyone. Welcome out into the beautiful outdoors. If you listen closely, you can hear some of my friends out here chirping away and singing away. It's kind of a beautiful day. It's actually a lot cooler today as I record this, too. I just wanted to talk about this week's gospel. Our gospel this coming week is a very interesting one. It's popular. It's one of my favorites. It's Jesus healing Jairus' daughter, but on the way to doing that, he also gets touched by a woman in the crowd and heals her just by her touching his clothing. And it's kind of an interesting story. I mean, let's start with the woman. She's been suffering for years, has been unable to find anyone that can heal her. She hears about Jesus. She follows in the crowd. The crowd is pressing in against him. And she just keeps thinking to herself, if I just touch him, if I can just reach out and touch him, I should be good. And so she does. She gets close enough to reach out across everybody else and just touch his cloak. And suddenly she's healed. But what's amazing about this story is that Jesus stops and turns around and goes, who touched me? I felt the power, the healing power go out of me. And, his disciples are all like, what do you mean? Who touched you? Everybody is touching you. But Jesus actually looks at them and goes, I know everybody is touching me, but this particular person, I felt the healing love, the healing grace come out of me towards her. And so, of course, she admits that she just wanted to touch him, figuring she'd be made well again, and she was. And Jesus rewards her for her faith. That's an interesting story. Then they get to Jairus' house. Jairus is one of the leaders in the synagogue, but he's come to Jesus and said, please come, my daughter is dying. She's very sick. By the time they get there, they're told that the young lady has already died. And yet, Jesus says she's not dead, she's just sleeping. People don't know what to make of that, but Jesus goes up into the room with her mother and father, with Jairus and his wife, and 3 disciples. Grabs her hand and gives her the order to stand up, and she does. And then he orders them to go ahead and feed her. So he literally raised her from the dead. So you've got these 2 healing stories. What does all of this mean for us? I think what it means is that the work of Christ, the work of the Lord in the world, is about restoration. It's about healing. It's about moving us to the next place. Jesus never, ever, ever gives up on us. I mean, think of the woman that reached out to touch his cloak. She was afraid to talk to Jesus. She didn't want to bother Jesus. She just figured if she got close enough and she could touch him, that'd be enough. And it was. And Jesus rewards her for her great faith, for knowing that if she just got close enough to him, she could be healed. But she doesn't want to bother him at all. It's amazing to think of the humility that she showed in that moment. She wasn't going to beg. She wasn't going to just come there and ask and plead and bother him and stop everybody. She just wanted to reach out for a second to him. And she's healed. And then Jairus' daughter, who's 12 years old, that he raises her from the dead, that Jesus even has the ability to restore from death. Of course, we all know that. We know the story of the tomb and the empty tomb, and we know the story of Jesus, giving all of us the opportunity to come to new life in him. So there's this idea that Jesus' work is all about healing and restoration. So what does that mean for us in our everyday lives? I think there's been many moments in my life that I look back upon and think, I was grieving, or I was injured, or I was sick, or I was worried and fearful. And that idea that Jesus is always by our side. There's no promise in this world that everything's going to be perfect. Nothing about this world is perfect. Not going to be. The promise is not that we're never going to suffer. We are going to suffer in this world. We're going to die in this world. But the truth is that Jesus stays by our side. Jesus is ever at work to bring love, grace, restoration, and healing to us. And even after we die, Jesus is still at work bringing us to restoration and new life. What a thought. We are valued that much by the Lord, that He is always working on our healing and our restoration, even in our worst moments, absolute worst moments. Jesus is working, and we are never, ever, ever left alone in this world, no matter how imperfect it may be. Jesus is here, working to restore. What a beautiful thought. We are blessed. This is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Amen.